Despite being at home for the past 7.5 months, I realized that I had absolutely nothing to show for it. I wanted to come out of 2020 with a new skill, which is how I found myself at Michael's with an armful of yarn, deciding that as a complete beginner, I was going to crochet an entire blanket. I got to work crocheting granny squares from a tutorial that I found on YouTube to piece together in a patchwork pattern. Most of the work was done during my online university lectures instead of actually paying attention. In a month, I was left with 220 squares, 4 by 4 inches each in 11 different colors. The next step was to press the squares. Placing the colors was by far the hardest part, as I wanted a random pattern, but no duplicate colors next to each other. Finally, I stitched all of the squares together using a ladder stitch, putting 11 into each row and then sewing 20 of those rows together. And finally, 2 months later, here it is. I love it and I hope you guys do too.
I feel so sad that I couldn't complete my blanket because I ran out of 2 colors. I went to my local Joann's to see if they had what I needed. They were also out, so I had to order online. Now I just have to wait for my yarn to arrive. Hopefully I'll be able to complete my blanket soon.
So I went and I got like 6 things of yarn, and I took them all out of the package and I tied them all together and rolled them into one giant ball of yarn, which is kind of a necessary step, but it's pretty freaking fun, so I'd recommend it. So first you just tie a knot to get a little starting loop that's permanent, and once you have that, you just make another thing and pull it through, and you just keep on pulling loops through the loops. Once you have a chain that's long enough to be the width of your blanket, you're gonna go back and you're gonna pull apart one of the loops and pull a loop through it, going like through the side. And then once you go all the way across, then you're gonna start going up those loops and then move to the side, like to keep it going. So yeah, go to the side like that. And then once you need to finish it, you're gonna take the loop from next to it and pull it over, so you have 2 loops when you pull the yarn through. And then you finish it up, and I fell. Anyway, yeah, so enjoy it. I think this is enough, but if y'all need a more detailed tutorial, let me know in the comments.
How to crochet the coziest winter throw. First, I went to Michael's and got 6 balls of this Bernat Velvet Plus yarn. The first thing you have to do to make this blanket is make a slip knot. I do this by twisting the yarn and then pulling it through to make a loop. Once you do that, you insert your crochet hook into the slip knot and then tighten it if you need to. Next, you're going to take your working yarn and pull it through the slip knot. I did this about 65 times to form my foundation chain. Once you're done with your foundation chain, you're going to yarn over and insert your hook into the 3rd stitch in the chain. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook to form a half double crochet. You're just going to keep doing this until you reach the end of the row, and then once you reach the end, you're going to chain 2 and then flip it over to the other side. And then you're just going to repeat this and half double crochet until you use up all of your yarn, and now you have this beautiful winter throw.
She said to me she wants to go to Portland. There's not a thing that's nearly as important. We could drive all night, we'll get there in the morning. What's one long drive?
Hi, so today I'll be showing you how to crochet a blanket. So first you'll need to get some yarn. This is the Bernat blanket yarn, and you can really use any yarn, but you want to check the weights, which you can see here on the labels. You will need 6 rolls if you're using the Bernat blanket yarn, but you can use any. For the hook, you want to make sure that the hook matches the weight or the size that they tell you on the label. So grab your yarn and your hook, and you want to make your slip knot to start. So here's how you make a slip knot. You just kind of make a loop, and then you grab the working yarn and you pull it through and make the knot tight. Then stick your hook in the loop, pull the loop tight, and start by yarning, pulling the yarn over the hook and pulling that through the first loop. And you keep doing this, and this is called chaining.
On my home for all seasons, so come on, let's go. Go below 0 and hide from the sun. I love you forever, we'll have some fun. Yes, let's hit the North Pole and live happily. Please don't cry no tears now, it's Christmas, baby. My snowman and me.
Make a chunky fall blanket with me. So first I'm gonna make a slip knot. This is a pretty detailed video on how to do that. This is how you start off. By the way, this yarn is from Walmart. I think it was like $4 for each one of them, and that's a pretty good price. Steal of a deal. So anyways, the chain that you make is gonna be the length of your blanket. So here's like a speeded up video of me doing that. This is how long my blanket's gonna be. It's gonna get a little bit shorter, but not much. And then I'm going back through for the second row. And then this is how far I got today. Come back tomorrow for...
Oh my god, I totally bought it.
Today I went to Joann to get yarn for my 2021 feelings blanket because mental health is going to be a priority for me this year. So I picked 6 different feelings that I want to track, and here I am doing the first row. Purple is happy, and that white is just a base color I'm using between my...
Friends, I am excited because I finally finished this project that I have been working on all week. This really chunky blanket is for a friend, so I'm extra excited to see how she feels about the final product. Now on camera I work on the tabletop, but in reality a lot of my work just looks like this, which looks pretty lame, but it gets the job done. And this yarn is fluffy. Like, I was covered in fluff every single day that I worked on it, but here's me showing off 3 different squares that I worked on, and I just folded them, put them to the side, and then me painstakingly tying all the squares together so that it could be a final piece. Working on the floor, and here's the final product. It looks so cute.
Your flaws just like plant new seeds in the melody. Let me inside. I wanna get to know you. I don't wanna.
So I decided that this coming year I really want to make a temperature blanket. If you don't know what a temperature blanket is, it's where you find out what the average temperature of a certain day was, and that corresponds with a color, and then you crochet or knit a row in a blanket. Ending results kind of look something like this. 2 things I want to do differently for my temperature blanket though. First, I want to use more colors. A lot of temperature blankets only use like 10 colors. I want more than that. Second, I don't just want to do the average temperature of the day, I want the high, the low, and the average. I have decided to use 25 different colors, and yeah, I'm really excited about this. I hope it turns out cool, and yeah, I will be posting updates here and there.
To make a giant chunky knit blanket, so I went to Michael's and bought an ungodly amount of chenille yarn. Like obscene amount of chenille yarn, like disgusting, but I love it. So anyway, here's me, and you start to tie a knot, and then I was kind of like talking to no one, saying like a tutorial, and then I realized that literally no one asked for that tutorial, so oops. So then I like was just whispering to myself awkwardly, but anyway, so here's my own thing of yarn number 4, but then I sadly realized that it was such an awkward shape it was not gonna work, so I had to take the whole thing apart, and it was kind of discouraging, but then I got this giant thing of yarn, and it was super fun.
Now from the make it get up and on I'm talking wet and gushy. Now from the
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door.
Great news, everybody! I finally finished August! If you don't know, I'm making a temperature blanket, so I find the average temperature of the day, color code it, crochet accordingly, and each day it gets its own little row. So August started here, which means this little chunk here is August. And this is the whole thing so far.